Hi, welcome to the Itihasa channel. Today we talk about the encounter that the Pandavas and their mother Kunti have in the Hidimba Vana with the Rakshasa Hidimba and his sister Hidimbi. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Nagendraya Namaha, Om Amme Narayana, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Anjanaya Namaha, Om Kartikaya Namaha, Swami Sharanamayyappo, Om Guruve Namaha. So Bhima Sena took his brothers and his mother on his shoulder, brothers on his waist and arms, rushed through from the tunnel once they came out after escaping the house of lac, reached the Ganga, crossed the Ganga on a motorboat, wondrous metal motorboat, flat-bottomed motorboat, which crossed upstream to the Ganga at rapid pace, making nothing but a mild humming sound. This description given 7,000 years ago in the Mahabharata. And then once they crossed the Ganga, Bhima Sena again carried them, rushed through various forests and hills and plains, and finally landed up in a deserted, quiet, eerie forest called Hidimba. This was the abode of the vile Rakshasa Hidimba. And so Bhima Sena put them down at the base of a huge Ashwatha tree or a peepal tree, went to a nearby stream, got water for his brothers and his mother, and having quenched their thirst, let them rest and fall asleep. And as he tenderly looked over his mother and brothers, the only thoughts that were coming to him were of severe dejection. Oh, what a time has come that this Queen Kunti, who would normally sleep on silken beds, is now lying down on hard earth, and his eldest brother Yudhishthira, who should be the king of kings, who should be the emperor of Bharatvarsha, is now lying down on this barren land. And his brave brothers lying down on this barren land, and what answer can he give to Madri if he meets her in the afterlife as to why her sons had to lie down on this ground? And as he was brooding over this, the scent of their bodies wafted through the empty forest, reaching this great Rakshasa Hidimba. Hidimba was sitting on a tree resting when this beautiful smell of humans wafted through the air and reached his nose. And his sharp ears perked up, and looking at his sister Hidimbi sitting next to him, he said, "Do you smell what I smell? The wonderful tasty flesh of humans." And then Hidimba went on for a few minutes on imagining how he would ravaged through this human flesh, and he started telling Hidimbi how he longed to sink his sharp fangs into the soft flesh of humans, for he had tired from eating the hard flesh of animals, and he was waiting to have the sweet, tasty nectar like blood of humans. And he imagined how, as he sank his teeth into the soft necks, the blood would froth and spurt out of their bodies, and he would suck onto this blood and enjoy its sweet taste. And he spoke about the tender bones that these humans had, and how he would crunch through them in no time, and how he would go through their innards and the soft innards and enjoy every bit of them. And then he told his sister that after we have quenched our thirst with this human blood and our hunger with their soft bodies, we will dance to old songs in enjoyment, for we have not seen a human for a long time in these wild parts where humans fear to tread. And who are these foolish humans who have come here in the land of Hidimba, not knowing that this belongs to Hidimba? And conquering a normal human is below his dignity, for he is meant for wilder prey. And so he told his sister, "I think you should go and get these humans for me, for it's below my dignity to hunt for these humans who stand frozen in fear at my very sight. Go, my dear Hidimbi, go and get all. I smell more than one. Get them to me, and we shall feast on them, and we shall enjoy them, watching the fear in their faces as we devour them." And so, listening to her brother's words, Hidimbi slipped down the tree and started making her way in the direction of the scent. Hidimba and Hidimbi look quite similar. The descriptions of Hidimba are quite elaborate and quite wondrous. It is said that Hidimba was a huge Rakshasa, and I use the term Rakshasa because Hidimba was at the end of the spectrum for being a vile, non virtuous man, and yet he had unbelievable power. And Hidimba was a tall man, a tall Rakshasa, as tall as a sala tree. It is said that he had eyes that gleamed like fire. He had fangs and sharp teeth and long pointed ears. He had a pinkish tone to his body and red, fiery red hair. His bloodthirsty scream would curdle the blood. He had a huge tummy along with broad shoulders and wide, powerful chest. He had fangs for his teeth and long, sharp claws to kill his foes. And he had wings at the back that could make him fly from one place to the other. And the most wondrous thing about both Hidimba and Hidimbi was they could change their shape at will. They could change their form and change their shape at will depending on what suited them. They were shapeshifters in a way. Wondrous, you may say, unbelievable, you may say, beats logic, you may say, yes. But these descriptions are there along with other descriptions that finally were found to be true, as I mentioned in the last episode when I discussed the yugas. And so Hidimbi, who also looked quite like her brother, slipped down from the tree in which they were sitting and she started to make her way to where the scent was of these humans was wafting from. And as she neared the area where the four Pandava brothers, Yudhishthira, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva, and their mother Kunti lay sleeping under a large Ashwatha tree, with a huge man, almost as huge as her brother, sitting around, looking over, standing guard over his brothers and a beautiful lady with him. And one looked at Bhimasena, and Hidimbi lost her heart. She gazed at his well-proportioned body, a man of wondrous features, body like liquid gold shining through, arms the size of tree trunks and broad shoulders, a beautifully chiseled out body with huge legs as huge as tree trunks, a handsome, well-cut face with long hair to his shoulders, looking gently and lovingly at his brothers and a beautiful lady sitting next to them. She didn't know who this lady was, but she described this woman as having an unearthly beauty. And in that moment, her heart went out to Bhimasena. One look at this handsome hunk of a man, Bhimasena, she lost her heart out to him. Karma had struck her with his most flowery arrow. And coming under the influence of Manmatha, she decided that if she went and approached him in her current form, it wouldn't end well. So using the powers that she had to change her form, she transformed herself into the most beautiful woman, wearing the most unworldly divine ornaments and a white robe, a diaphanous robe. She walked out of the clearing and came to him and smiled at Bhimasena and asked, "Who are you, O great man, who sits in this vana which belongs to Hidimba the vile Rakshasa? Do you not have fear in your hearts? Do you not know that he loves and enjoys human flesh and he might very well come at any instant to consume you? Who are these four brave people who sit next to you? Are they your brothers? For they seem as well built as you are, though they look a little different from you. And who is this gorgeous woman with unworldly beauty? She seems a little older than you, but she has not lost any of her beauty. Who are these people? Who are you? Who sit in this great vana belonging to my brother Hidimba?" And Bhimasena looked at her, and to a certain extent his heart also went out to her. He looked at her and smiled and said, "O fair one, these four sitting here are my brothers, and this woman is my mother. And I am here, we have come here, having escaped an attempt at our lives. And I am giving them time to rest, for we shall soon be on our way. Tell your brother we shall leave this one once they've had their rest and once they've got their strength back." And then Hidimbi looked at Bhimasena and said, "Do not underestimate my brother Hidimba, for he is a Rakshasa of immense power. He can fly as fast as a thought, and he is as tall as you and probably more powerful than you." And then, still smiling, Bhimasena introduced himself. He said, "Oh fair one, I am Bhimasena. This here is my older brother Yudhishthira. There, the dark one sitting, sleeping next to him is Arjuna. And the two beautiful princes next to him are Nakula and Sahadeva. And this sitting next to them, this beautiful woman, is my mother Kunti, the daughter of Kunti, Bhoja, and Surasena." And Hidimbi was wonderstruck at the beautiful voice of Bhima. And Bhima continued, "We have just escaped a threat on our lives by a wild cousin of ours, and we wish to not stay in this forest too long. Let my brothers and my mother regain their strength, and let them be rested, and we shall be on our way, and we shall not interfere with you or your brother." And Hidimbi looked longingly at Bhimasena, for her heart had gone out to him, and she looked at him and said, "Do not underestimate my brother Hidimba. He is as tall as you and more powerful than you. He can fly as fast as the thoughts can take him, and he has already got your smell. He had sent me to bring you to him so that he can consume you, and he is waiting for me to come there. Let us not wait any longer." And Bhimasena looked back at this beautiful Hidimbi. For somewhere deep within he could feel the flutter arising in his heart. And every sentence that Bhima said to Hidimbi, he addressed her with the most beautiful way. Initially, he was teasing her, and slowly, with time, as the conversation started progressing, the feelings in his heart started coming to the fore. He referred to her as the sweet one, the one with the sweet smile, the one with the slender waist, the one with the fair thighs, the one with the, yes, a lot other ways too. And addressing her thus with a smile on his face, he started to tell her that, "Fear not, my dear fair one, for your brother is no match for my strength." And you could make out that Bhimasena started praising himself, started talking great about his strength, talking about his prowess, in a way trying to impress Hidimbi to make her understand that he is not a common man. But Hidimbi knew her brother Hidimba was a ferocious Rakshasa and tried to caution Bhimasena. She told Bhimasena, "Come, let me take you to safety. I can carry you on my back and take you." And Bhimasena said, "O woman with the fair thighs, do not worry about me, for I can take on your brother. And I will not abandon my brothers and my mother, for I value my life less than I value that of my mother and my brothers. And I will ensure that their safety is paramount." And Hidimbi realized this man was a noble man, and she turned to Bhimasena and said, "Look, my dear Bhimasena, O man built like a tiger, I am strong enough to take all your brothers, you and your mother with me on my back. I can fly as fast as a thought, and I will take you to a place far away where my brother cannot reach us, where my brother cannot attack you. Come, time is of the essence, for my brother knows that I have been sent here to get you to him, and if I delay, he will himself come to find out what has happened. Come fast, O great warrior, come with me and I shall take you to safety." And the Bhimasena smiled back at her and said, "Do you think I am scared of your brother? Do you think these arms are just simple arms? They can crush a tree, they can crush a mountain. And I can bring down an elephant with these arms." and with the powerful kick of my foot I can bring down large trees. Do you not see me standing in front of you?" And he stood up in front of her to his full height, trying to impress her, of course. But she knew her brother, and she begged and pleaded with Bhimasena and said, "Do not talk like this, O great Bhimasena. I have no question about your manhood. I have no question about your strength. But you do not know my brother, and he is far greater in strength than you. Let us run away quickly." And then Bhimasena continued, "O woman with the fair thighs, O woman with the wonderful smile, O woman with the lotus eyes, do not worry. For there is no Rakshasa who can compete with me in combat, and I can destroy any Rakshasa who stands up to me." And this dialogue went on for some time. Hidimbi pleading with Bhimasena to heed her advice that they run away from Hidimba as soon as possible, for Hidimba would come there at any instant. And Bhimasena talking about his prowess and his strength and telling her that she needn't worry and that he will protect her and he will protect Kunti and his brothers from this vile Rakshasa, Hidimba. And as this conversation went on, Hidimba, sitting on the tree far away, realized his sister doesn't seem to be coming back. Let's go and investigate ourselves and see what the problem is. And following the scent, he came upon this clearing where he saw his sister, and he was shocked, for she had taken the form of a wonderful, beautiful woman. And she was smiling and talking to this huge man standing in front of her, demurely blinking her eyes and fluttering her eyes and smiling and talking demurely. And in an instant, he knew what the scene told him. He burst into the surrounding and started screaming at his sister, "Have you lost your mind to this man? Has karma overtaken you for this man? For I shall destroy this man in front of your eyes for having disobeyed me. And once I have destroyed this man and these men around him and that woman sitting, sleeping there, I shall kill you for having been so insolent towards my needs." And so saying, he pulled himself to his full height, which was a little more than what Bhimasena stood at, and baring his vile fangs with blood like saliva dipping on the edge, he bared his claws and looked at his sister and said, "Watch how I finish this man off in an instant." And Bhimasena looked at this great Rakshasa Hidimba and said, "My man, your days seem to be numbered, for you have come to disturb the sleep of my brothers and my mother. I shall show you how to enter Yamaloka, how to end your life. But let us do it a bit distance away. For I don't want to disturb my mother and my brothers. Let them sleep, they need the rest. They've been troubled and they've been stressed for the last few days. Come away and we shall fight, and I shall take you to your end." And this insolence from Bhimasena irked Hidimba to no end. Giving a low growl, he rushed towards Bhimasena and went to attack him, and was absolutely surprised at what happened. Bhimasena took the arms of Hidimba and turned around and pushed him away from his sleeping brothers and mother. And this was new to Hidimba. He had never come across another being who could challenge him in a fight, and he started to growl and howl loudly. Bhimasena realized that this would wake his brothers and his mother. Holding Hidimba by the hands and one hand on his neck, he started to pull Hidimba away from where his brothers lay in their deep slumber. Even the growl of Hidimba did not wake them up. And pulling Hidimba away, he took him a distance away where he would fight Hidimba. And he threw Hidimba against one of the trees. Hidimba hit the trees but remained unfazed, but was quite surprised at the superhuman strength of Bhimasena. Now he realized he was fighting a strong foe, probably a stronger foe than him. And then, utilizing all the powers that he had garnered over the years, he started to attack Bhimasena. He uprooted a tree and threw it at Bhimasena, and Bhimasena immediately brushed it aside with his large arm. Bhimasena on his side uprooted another tree and tried to hit Hidimba with it, but Hidimba was able to parry the blow. And then they started to force their way into close quarter combat with each other. Bhimasena held on to Hidimba's neck and tried to swirl him out and pull him down. And Hidimba, using his supernatural strength, would try to combat the movements. In the meantime, the Pandavas, Arjuna, and Yudhishthira woke up with the sound of their bodies, the bodies of Bhimasena and Hidimba hitting the earth and the vibration that was felt. And waking up, they suddenly saw a beautiful Apsara like woman standing guard next to them, smiling sweetly at them. And Kunti was surprised and asked her, "Pray tell us who you are." And she said, "Oh, mother, my heart has gone to your son Bhimasena. I am Hidimbi, who was a Rakshasi in this forest, and my brother there, Hidimba, is a Rakshasa who rules this forest. He smelt the smell of human flesh and decided he wanted to eat you all and sent me to bring you all to him. But when I came and I saw your wonderful son sitting, looking around for signs of danger so that you would be protected at any cost, my heart went out to him. And Kama's arrow has hit me and I have no hope. And I told him about my brother Hidimba and that Hidimba would eventually come. I offered to take you and your children and Bhimasena on my back, for I can fly long distances at the speed of thought, and I am strong enough to take all of you on my back. And I promised to take you all to safety away from my brother Hidimba, but Bhima did not listen. He insisted on fighting Hidimba. He insisted on attacking Hidimba, and he insisted on taking on Hidimba. He told me that Kshatriyas like him do not run away from a fight. They take the fight head on. And how much ever I pleaded with your son, he refused to run away. He is definitely a great man, but I fear he may be no match for my brother. And they are fighting there. Immediately, Arjuna took his weapons, and Yudhishthira took, and Nakul and Sahadeva took their weapons and ran to the clearing where Bhimasena was fighting with Hidimba. It was a vicious fight, body blow after body blow, one holding on to the other, lifting him off the ground and throwing him onto the ground, and the other one getting up with extreme agility and doing the same to the other. It was a fight of immense proportions where trees around them collapsed and fell as their bodies thudded against them. The ground trembled as one would fall down, pushed down by the other, thrown down by the other. And it was said that the area where they were fighting had become a large clearing with just tree stumps remaining, with the trees having borne the brunt of this brutal war between Bhimasena and Hidimba. And Arjuna called out to Bhimasena and said, "You must be tired, dear brother, for you have not slept for a long time. We are well rested. Hand over your opponent to me, and I will take on him and I will finish him off." And Bhimasena's ego in front of Hidimbi was hurt a little, and he smiled and laughed and said, "This wild creature is no match for me. I am just playing with him. I'm just having a good time pushing him around and seeing to it and enjoying his discomfort at my blows." And Arjuna looked at Bhimasena with concern and said, "Be careful, dear brother, for this is a Rakshasa and we are nearing the time of dusk. And once the sun goes down, these Rakshasas will achieve immense power. They will be able to harness the power of the night, and then we will be no match for them. Finish him off before it becomes dusk." And Hidimbi stood standing next to Arjuna, told Bhimasena, "My dear Bhimasena, O Narapungavaha, what your brother Arjuna says is true. It is impossible for you to defeat my brother once the sun sets. For he is the master of the occult, and he can achieve immense power and immense forms once the sun goes down. He will be impossible to defeat, and none of your brothers put together could take him once the sun goes down. You need to finish him off instantly." And Bhima realized that the time for playing with Hidimba was over. With one hand, Bhimasena held Hidimba's neck, and with the other, he held his waist, lifted him above himself, and started twirling him around above him. And finally, with a scream, he took Hidimba and thrust him and hurled him down to the ground against a rock. In an instant, Hidimba's skull lay smashed against the rock, and his limp body fell down. And then, with the blood curdling scream, Bhima lifted up Hidimba's body and threw it against the trees until it became a mangled mess. And then he turned his gaze towards Hidimbi and smiled, and told Hidimbi, "You have nothing to worry about now. You are safe. Your brother is not there anymore to kill you. Your brother is not there anymore to harm you. You are safe to go back and be in this jungle." Then turning to Yudhishthira and his brothers and mother said, "There's a town close by. We should make haste and go towards that town. For it's not safe for you all in this jungle, and there's a lot of hardships that you may have to face in this jungle. Come, let us leave immediately." And Yudhishthira nodded and Kunti nodded, and they started walking towards in the direction of the village. And they suddenly realized those soft footsteps of this beautiful Hidimbi didn't stop, followed them as they walked. And Kunti and Yudhishthira looked round and looked at Hidimbi and said, "Why are you following us? The forest is free of your brother's tyranny now. You can live in peace." And demurely she smiled at Kunti and said, "You of all ladies should know what happens to a woman when karma strikes. O mother of immense beauty, you of all should know that a woman cannot leave the man she has given her heart out to. And I have given my heart out to Bhimasena, your son, and things can never be the same for me." And there's a long conversation that happens between Kunti, Yudhishthira, and Hidimbi. A conversation on dharma, a conversation on love, a conversation where Hidimbi professes her intense love for Bhimasena in the most flowery language. She praises Bhimasena's arm, she praises Bhimasena's shoulder, she praises Bhimasena's muscular body, she praises Bhimasena's muscular legs. And I'm quite sure Kunti would have blushed at the way in which Bhimasena was described by Hidimbi. And she tells Kunti that her life can never be the same, and she tells Yudhishthira that dharma is where a woman should decide where her place should be, either in the arms of her lover or the arms of her family. And today she has chosen to be in the arms of her lover Bhimasena, and there is no other family for her. And Bhimasena's heart also melted for Hidimbi. But Bhimasena was a man of intense dharma, second only to Yudhishthira. For I told you there was a time in the future when they would fight in the Mahabharata war. And Krishna had asked Bhimasena if he would lie that Ashwatthama was dead, having killed an elephant called Ashwatthama, to fool Drona to believe that his son had died. And Bhimasena had staunchly refused. And it was finally Yudhishthira who lied to Drona that Ashwatthama was dead, the elephant Ashwatthama, not his son. It was Yudhishthira who would eventually lied to Drona. And even in that time of battle when defeat would be imminent if Drona had survived, Bhima had refused to lie. Such was the principle and dharma of Bhima. And today Bhima looked at his brothers and told them that I cannot take a wife right now, for your safety is of paramount concern to me. Though I may have lost my heart out to Hidimbi, I still cannot abandon my family. And what kind of husband would it be who would abandon his wife having just met her? And so my dharma states that I have to be with my mother and my brothers and take care of them and ensure their safety. And for this I have to sacrifice my feelings to Hidimbi. And tenderly he looked at Hidimbi and said, I understand your feelings to me, and I know where they come from, and I know what these feelings are. But my dear lady, my fair-skinned lady, please understand that it is not possible for me to abandon my brothers and my mother. And their safety is my concern, their safety is my priority. We have to move apart. And Hidimbi broke down in tears and fell at Kunti's feet and Yudhishthira's feet and told him, You are the elder one, for he told me about you. He told me that you are like Dharma incarnate. You are the elder one, and it is not right for him to marry before you, but I beg you your permission. Please allow your younger brother to marry me. For I shall kill myself if I do not have him as my husband. For I shall go back in this jungle and take my life away in an instant. And Yudhishthira mellowed down and Kunti softened up. And they both turned to Bhishma and Bhimasena and said, "You have our permission to marry this wonderful woman. But we have a condition. You may stay together through the day, but before sunset, you have to bring Bhimasena back to us. We will stay in this forest for some more time until you have a child. And until then, we will spend our time in this forest. And we will take care of ourselves during the daytime. You may come at the break of day after Bhimasena has finished his respects in the river, has finished his daily ablutions, and has prayed in his morning prayers, prayed his morning prayers. And once he's done that, you may take him and you may be with him through the whole day. But before sunset, you will bring him back to us." This condition that Yudhishthira put to Hidimbi was smart. He knew at heart Hidimbi was still a Rakshasi, probably a Rakshasi by his definition. And it was quite possible that if it would so happen that her heart would turn against Bhimasena, Bhimasena would have difficulty overpowering Hidimbi once night had fallen. And so, to protect his brother Bhima, he told Hidimbi that she has to get him back before nightfall. For who knows, strange are the ways of love. They may be there one day, they may be absent the next. And Yudhishthira didn't want to take a risk with letting Bhima remain with Hidimbi at night after dusk, when her powers were of unimaginable strength. And so Hidimbi agreed and, bending down, touched the feet of Kunti and took her blessings. And immediately she held Bhimasena in her arms and whisked him away at the speed of flight. In an instant it disappeared. And it was said that for the next few months, Hidimbi showed Bhimasena the most wonderful time of his life. With the power of her mind and the power of flight, she would take Bhimasena to a different place every day. She would cross emerald forests, go to nearby streams and ponds that were so clear that the bottom could be seen. They would spend their days at the banks of rivers, at the banks of ponds, frolicking in the waters, frolicking on land, frolicking in the jungles. They would go on treetops and down the beautiful meadows where Siddhas and Gandharvas would travel, where human beings would not be allowed to come to. She would show Bhimasena marvelous, beautiful trees, majestic trees, beautiful animals, animals that had not been seen by humans at the time. She would take him around places where fragrant flowers would be there. She would cross the Himalayas with him on her back, showing him the wondrous ranges of the Himalayas. And she would take him down, cross to the seas, showing him the endless oceans around Bharatvarsha. And after many months, she became pregnant with the child. And unlike a normal pregnancy, her pregnancy lasted only for 2 months. And when those 2 months were up and a child was born, she brought the child back to the Pandavas, and with Bhimasena she came and presented this child in front of Kunti. This child was a phenomenal child. He had a large bald head devoid of any hair, large pointed ears sticking up, eyes burning like embers, coppery red lips and fangs coming out of his mouth, powerful limbs and large powerful shoulders. Even as a child, he grew up quite fast. Sharp claws. This child was phenomenal, and because of his bald head which resembled a pot, the Pandava brothers Kunti, Bhimasena and Hidimbi decided to call him Ghatotkacha, a large pot-headed. And this child stayed with the Pandavas for over a year. He was the closest to his uncle Yudhishthira, at whose feet he would sit and listen to all the Vedas and the knowledge that his uncle would give him. He was a child of immense intelligence. From the time of birth to the time of 1 year, he had imbibed all the knowledge that his uncle Yudhishthira would give. Within that 1 year, he had grown in stature to quite an extent. and he learnt archery from his uncle Arjuna. He was a fast learner, and in no time he had learnt the nuances of archery, the skills, and even the astras that Arjuna had taught him. He was a brilliant student. He learnt the art of fighting with the sword from his uncles Nakula and Sahadeva, and the art of fighting with the mace from his father Bhimasena. He learned wrestling from his father, and he was treated with the utmost love by the uncles and his mother Hidimbi. He was a lucky child who had a wondrous childhood in the loving company of his uncles who doted on him, who taught him everything they knew, and a loving mother Hidimbi who took care of him with absolute love. And then it became time. A year had passed, and Kunti realized that if her son Bhimasena would continue in this married life, he would soften up, he would lose his ability to fight, and he would lose his killer instincts. And the smart, cunning Kunti realized that the married life was not right for Bhimasena. Bhimasena's future lay in taking care of her and her other four children. And so one day, when Ghatotkacha was 1 year old, almost as tall as his father, even though he was just 1 year old, Kunti called Hidimbi and said, "It is time that we move on. Bhimasena has been with you for more than 2 years now. He spent a great deal of time with you, and it's time for us to move on. We ask you to give us permission," and Hidimbi knew that day would eventually come. There were tears all around. That beautiful child Ghatotkacha couldn't bear to see his uncles leave, to see his father leave. And Hidimbi told Bhimasena, "You just have to think about me or Ghatotkacha, and I will ensure that your son reaches you in an instant. For I have the power to decipher your thoughts, however far you may be. Think of me once and think of your son and summon your son in your thoughts. And I will ensure that in an instant he will be there next to you. For like me, he has a power of flight, and he can reach anywhere with the power of his mind. And he will be with you whenever you need him. I will take care of him. I will groom him into a great warrior, for I know that you have a difficult life ahead. These 2 years that I have been able to spend with you would not have been possible if your mother hadn't gifted these 2 years to me. These the most wonderful 2 years of my life. And I'm forever indebted to your brothers and your mother for having given me this love. And I'm indebted to you, O Bhimasena, for the love you've bestowed on me, for the caring you've bestowed on me, and for this wonderful child you've given me. And I'm forever in your debt. And I understand the need for you to be away and to take back the kingdom that truly belongs to you. And our son Ghatotkacha will help you in your endeavors." And so, bidding a tearful farewell, a heart-wrenching farewell, the Pandavas and Kunti parted from Hidimba and Ghatotkacha. That wonderful child Ghatotkacha would one day come back, fight on the side of the Pandavas in the great Kurukshetra war, and repay all the love and knowledge and all the caring that his uncles and his father had given him. He would repay every one of them with his life and ensure that they would survive. And it was because of Ghatotkacha that eventually Arjuna survived and the Pandavas were able to win the war. He repaid every bit of love that his uncles and father had given him with his life. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Nagendraya Namaha, Om Amme Narayana, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Anjaneyaya Namaha, Om Subramanyaya Namaha, Swami Sharanamayyappa, Om Guruve Namaha.